And hello guys, this is of course Ragu42, and today, well, we'll take a look at the Mesa biome, which is, well, not too much changed. Well, of course this isn't really an interesting thing, is it? So, basically what I want to show you today is where all these blocks went. And let me say, it took quite some time. All right, now we're on top of the building, which has been constructed from all this clay that I harvested in the Mesa biome. Now, this is actually in a jungle biome, mostly, and that's why I chose to design it kind of like a tree. So, if you look down here, you see a lot of brown stained clay, and on top just kind of some leaves. So it, well, blends in with the jungle. Well, can't really say that in terms of the height, because this farm, and as you probably have already guessed, is of course an iron golem farm. This farm has a height of about 160, 170 blocks, depends on what you count as a height. So basically from the bottommost door to up here where we're standing, it's around 160 blocks. This farm has 32 layers with 32 villages each, and a total of more than 34,000 doors. So 34,000 doors, all manually placed, all in survival. And yeah, this thingy burns me quite some iron. Now, what you see here is the control mechanism. Compared to the tutorial, I actually changed the layout a bit, and yeah, just put it all in one platform since it's a bit easier than building it like vertically in this height. So yeah, that's kind of a control mechanism, just the usual thing, as you know. Also, I made some changes to make this size possible. For example, if we just go down here, now you can see I actually include some slime blocks here. And the reason is that this villager is detecting two layers now. So this bottom layer here and the one right above me. So how this works is whenever he's sent in on this rail, you can only detect the bottom row of doors here. And basically he will just stay on the slime block when the slime block is retracted. So let me just get around here. So when this piston is retracted, slime block is of course down here, and the villager will just sit on top. The farm will then rebuild all the villages corresponding to these doors. And once all these villages here are constructed, the villager will be pushed up. Now, you might say, why do I use slime block here, not just a regular block? That's actually annoying the glitch that has been Minecraft for quite some time, apparently. And yeah, basically, if you would put the villager on top of a regular block in the minecart, he would usually glitch into the block and wouldn't be pushed up. So that's kind of annoying. And then at the same time, I have to make sure he doesn't just fly off, and that's why I kept it off in glass so he doesn't take suffocation damage. And if you want to build this villager saving version, let me just maybe step back a bit. Yeah, I guess I'll just walk you through here slowly so you can take a look at what I placed where. Okay, so here's a sticky piston as a pulse shortener once again. Yeah, basically just pause the screen if you want to rebuild this. Now what we got here is, for example, a furnace down here, or you could also use obsidian. That's because of the slime block, which should not retract this block. And this piston here is also required for some funny reasons, I think. Because it pushes out the rail, so when the slime block here retracts, it doesn't try to pull the rail back down. Because, well, the rail is a pushable block, or let's say movable block. But of course, if you have obsidian here, because you don't want to move this block, or you can't even move it, then would try to pull the rail down, or it can't, so even the slime block would stay in this position, which is, yeah, not quite what we want, right? And basically, we have a push-up block right here. However, it would get retracted with a slime block, so this piston, just with a slight delay, pushes it back up whenever this one retracts. And then again, with some more delay, we get a pulse into this sticky piston, which then just pushes this block out and sends the villager back when the reset process is triggered. And all this is triggered just by this line. Basically, it's kind of a falling edge detector if you want. So, and yeah, so this one, let me show you, it just comes from the RS knowledges, which keep track of the layers that are being rebuilt here. So if you don't know all the other redstone here, just watch the tutorial on the iron bone which I made. And speaking of the iron bone, actually reminds me that one guy, I think Tech Army Rex was his name, he suggested I should rename the farm, and he actually made some pretty good suggestions for a farm name, and I'm tempted to call this by now the Iron Factory, because, well, it has a high degree of symmetry, so it's like really a factory complex where everything is standardized, and just doing the same thing, going for high efficiency, and yeah, so probably from now on I will rather call this one the Iron Factory, which I think really suits this build, because it's just enormous. And yeah, also another thing that I changed is this kind of insta wire here, because let's say if you give one of these pistons here that are facing upwards a signal, it will take quite some time for all the pistons here to extend. However, if you remove the signal, for example, this piston pushes the redstone block out, then all of the pistons on top, so even if it's one right down here, they will retract instantly. And that way I was able to save on quite some rebuild time, because if you remember the tutorial for this farm, I said that you had to extend the timings in the hopper clocks. So let me just hop over there. Where's the hopper clock for this one? Right here. But you had to extend this, and if you build many layers, like in this case, you'd have an enormous time here, and probably a simple hopper timer wouldn't be enough even. So yeah, basically what I did is I included for the permanent towers here, I include a secondary shutter. So basically whenever the item in the hoppers down here cycle through, then each time one of these blocks will be pushed out and grant skylight access. But basically before this is triggered, these blocks will all extend and cut it off again. So basically the villagers that are already in place here will not detect the doors, and the temporary villagers or temporary tower villagers will have time to move in. And basically, yeah, the reason why we had to extend the time previously is because the signal traveling downwards and sending the temporary villagers in. So we just had to take this delay into account. And now this is not really required anymore, because this line will just retract when the signal on the permanent towers has also traveled downwards. So basically these delays will just cancel out and therefore save on quite some time. So compared to the 4-layer version I showed in the tutorial, I did increase the timings a bit just to be on the very safe side, because I really didn't want anything to fail here. Well, it failed a few times during reset because I just screwed up some timings on the repeaters or stuff. But still, it has fully rebuilt, and yeah, now we got 32 layers of 32 villages each, which, doing a bit of math in your head, sums up to 1024 villages in total. Now, I had this farm running for a few weeks now, and it's running super stable. So no villages were deleted or got merged or anything. Mainly because it's in spawn chunks, of course. And yeah, it was just producing a crap ton of iron. And I guess I'll just show you what amount of iron I'm talking about here. So it takes quite some time for the ender pearl. Finally we're down here. Okay, so this is basically the button that you really do not want to press unless the farm stopped working. Because the reset time for this farm is quite enormous. It takes 2.5 days for this whole farm to reset. And yeah, it's quite an amount. And if you just take a look here, I think this is just a sight to behold and completely ridiculous. I mean, there are 2 killing chambers, like one on this side and one on the other side, and they just can't keep up with all the iron golems coming in here. So yeah, as you might also have seen in the little montage that I made, sometimes it gets pretty stuttery because the server has really hard time keeping up. And that's because of the number of villagers that are used in this farm, which sums up to slightly above 300 villagers. So yeah, I also got this dirt pillar in here still, so it's a bit under construction. But let me just get up here so I can show you one of the spawning layers from the inside. What you might also have noticed is that I changed the spawning platforms here, so I'm now pushing the golems outward instead of having kind of two holes in these layers. Yeah, that was just kind of design issue, and I thought I would get some more spawning space that way. Not sure if it really increased the efficiency that much, but yeah, it worked. So I want to show you basically the villagers in here. So it's slightly above 20 villagers in each basket, and they're placed on every second spawning floor. So they are providing the population, basically in this case for the doors down here and for the one up here. Now, 32 layers. Every 2 layers we need one basket of 21 villagers or so. Well, do the math. We'll end up with 320 villagers, a bit more, 330, plus some detector villagers, of course. Now, as I said, I can use 2 villagers for each layer. Sorry, 1 villager for 2 layers for each permanent tower. So we got 16 villagers on this side, 16 on the other one. And then for each of temporary towers, of course, only 1 villager, as already shown in the tutorial. So I got 4 more, which adds another 36 villagers. So it's quite a lot of villagers that you need here. Yeah. However, the reason why this farm is stable is that the number of villager positions is pretty low. And it's actually, if I remember correctly, 56 only. So basically all the villagers that are standing in one block, like one basket here, they only count as 1 villager position for the village system, which is responsible for this farm being stable. Now, if you have too many villager positions, it might happen that some of these doors are not getting processed by the system within 1 minute and would decay. Now, if we stay below 70, the probability is very close to 0, and in this case we actually stay below 64, so it's 100% stable. The only thing that could theoretically kill this farm is if you had a lot of other villagers sitting around somewhere in a trading hall or something. Yeah, that could theoretically kill it, but the probability would be pretty low, or you would have to have quite a large amount of villagers. Yeah, so there's this farm. I think it's pretty... I don't know what to say, seriously. And let me just show you the internals down here. Basically all the items get processed. Now, I'll try not to pick up too many items here. Basically you've got the iron golem killing chambers down here, everything on packed ice, because well, I just had it and I don't need to bother about lighting and stuff, or possibly ice melting. Excuse me. So the golems just sink in here into these lava blades, just the usual killing chambers. I mean, I guess you guys know how these work. They get flushed in here, and this is not the way you should build an item sorter usually, but I just want to fit it in here into this little walkway. And yeah, so you see the items jumping and stuff, so it's not 100% reliable, but these are basically 4 hoppers which filter out poppies. So I'll just throw them on here. You should see that they disappear. However, sometimes some additional poppies make it down here, actually, where the iron should go to the storage. So there's another poppy sorter along the way, but just a single sorter which sorts out the rest. And yeah, so if you go down here, you see it's for each of the sorters. I have an overflow dropper here, like these 2, and they just shoot it into lava to get rid of them. And all the other poppies, like the ones that get down here, just end up in this dropper, or basically in 2 droppers, which shoot them through the nether portal to keep everything loaded. And yeah, here's just standard hopper timer. I think it's set to something like 25 seconds, which is actually twice as fast as it would be required. So once per minute is completely sufficient, but I thought, oh, well, I'm producing so many poppies, I don't really care. Now, let me just hop down here. Actually, right here we can nicely see the iron coming in. Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive, because all these iron ingots are already stacked up, so it's quite a lot of iron coming in. Let me just eat. And yeah, now here are 2 double chests missing. Gotta replace them at some point. And if we just climb up here, this is essentially just a little crafting help. So you break the chests, all the iron gets flooded down to this little pit. You have a crafting table in front of you, and you can do some speed crafting. Yeah, if we go up here, we should be able to see the iron coming in. Yeah. So currently, just to prevent too many items lying around, I just sent everything into lava because the storage is full. And actually, it's pretty hard to empty the storage in time. Now, obviously, too many chests would kind of cause a lot of lag, and that's why I tried to limit myself, and this should be 64 double chests here. Now, minus the 2 that are missing here. And, well, actually, why don't you guys go down to the comment section and try to guess how much buffer this provides. So, how long does it take to fill up all these chests on average? Now, if you want to do the math, I will give you one number, and that's the production of this farm, which is not quite as high as I expected it, or as I extrapolated it in the tutorial, but yeah, it's pretty close. So it's around 34 to 34.5 thousand ingots per hour. So not items per hour, poppies are already excluded, just iron ingots. Now, you can imagine that you can't just every day craft the stuff into iron blocks. It's just a ridiculous amount of work, and yeah, basically you don't even need a storage. You could just, whenever you need some iron, come here and craft them as you go. Yeah. So again, for the production of this farm, it produces about 9 point something, so slightly below 10 ingots per second, and that's pretty impressive. So I guess it would even be possible to build the infinite rail to the end of the Minecraft world, so to 30 million in survival. Well, maybe not building it, but at least gathering the materials for, like, scaffolding everything with iron blocks, and yeah, also building the rails on top. Maybe neglecting some golden rails for now. Because with this production of the farm, I did a rough estimation of it, and it would take about 1 year to produce enough iron for the infinite rail, for example, that JL made in creative mode, and yeah, streamed for, was it 17 days? I think in the end it was a bit more. So yeah, I guess if anyone says he built the biggest farm in survival so far, I think all the farms I've seen were like 512, 513 villages. Yeah, I guess I doubled that up, so if anyone has an idea how to increase this even more without lagging out the server, feel free to try to beat this. I'm looking forward to it, and I actually already have kind of a rough idea how I could increase the number of villages almost by factor 2 again. But I doubt I'll have the time to actually do this. And yeah, it's rather complicated. I'm not sure if it's really possible or will have some issues with whatsoever. So yeah, I guess this kind of finishes this video. And well, actually there are a few more things that I want to say. First of all, I want to thank you all guys very, very much. I think when recording this video, I was like at 82 subscribers, and honestly, after 2 videos, I would not have ever expected that to happen. So thank you all guys for the support. It's really appreciated, and it was really stunning to me. So I guess I really didn't expect to get that many subscribers, and yeah, I guess it was even more impressive to me than this farm. Well, it's hard to judge. Yeah, anyways, I hope I can show you some more cool contraptions in the future. Let's say I don't have any project that big planned at the moment. Obviously, it takes quite some time, and you need to have the right idea to do something like that. And putting this stuff off basically on your own, because this farm was built basically only by myself. Just a few of the spawning platforms. I had a friend helping me for like an hour or two to build like 3 or 4 of these spawning platforms. But yeah, as I said, built by basically only one person within, let's say, 6 weeks till it was working. I think that's not too bad, and it was quite some effort. So anyway, thank you all for watching. Please leave a comment down in the comment section. I really love to read your comments and answer them if you have any kind of questions. So thank you all guys for watching, and see you next time.